Hey Floss Tube, welcome back. This is my 109th Floss Tube video, and I'm excited to share with you what I've been working on. And yes, I have a lot to share with you. It has been a while since I've made a video, so I have a whole bunch of projects to show you. First of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. Things are going great down here. The last time I made a video was the end of March, and things have just kind of been crazy. I've been working on a super secret project, and that has taken a lot of my creative energy over the past couple of months. And because of that, and when I was really working on it really a lot, I didn't have a lot of cross stitch to show, and so I put off making a video. And then things have kind of gotten busy with the summer. We helped my daughter move from her apartment to a house in Tucson last week. We've made a trip to Utah to bring my daughter from BYU home for the summer. And then there's just been random stuff throughout the week that has kind of gotten in the way of making a video. So I have like 6 projects to share with you today. I think that's how many I have. I have a lot to share with you. I have a finish, I have a start, and a whole bunch of other things that I've been working on. So this should be really excited. It should be a content-filled video. Things are going great, like I said. Today, it feels like the monsoon has started up. It's cloudy and muggy, and we've even had some scattered thunderstorms. My son and I went down to run some errands out south of town, and we ran into a pretty heavy thunderstorm. It feels really good. It's been a long time since we've had any significant rain, and so you just get this urge to get a great big huge thunderstorm. We haven't seen anything like that at our house, but we'll cross our fingers. It's a little bit early for the monsoon to start. Usually it comes in around July. I don't know if this is just a wave, and if the humidity is going to start dropping back down, or if it's actually really going to start. We'll hope for really start. I'd really love to see a wet monsoon. We could really use it. Okay, before I get started, I just had a couple of questions from my last video that I just want to answer. The first was, I had somebody ask me about how to stitch with white floss, how to make your stitches neat with white floss, and quite frankly, I wish I knew the answer to that myself. I have tried using laying tool, I've tried railroading, and it doesn't seem to help. I'm always not happy about stitching with white. My stitches always look worse in white for some reason. And just as an aside, yellow is my second worst color. I usually have I really don't like the way my yellow stitches look as well. But one thing that I have noticed is when I'm up close in stitching, I really don't like the stitches. But once the project is finished, those imperfections kind of fade into the background unless you get up really close with a microscope. So, or I should say with a magnifying glass, not a microscope. But you know, that's just I think it's just kind of the nature of the beast. And when everything is finished, I think the project looks good enough that you kind of ignore those imperfections. That doesn't mean that they're good enough to submit to a competition. Somebody in a competition might say otherwise, but just for general looking at it, I think they look fine. So do the best you can, soldier on, and try to do the best you can. I also had a question about the picture that was hanging up here. Last time I've swapped out my Let Freedom ring because we're getting close to July. And I really like this. The picture that I had up here before was a picture that was actually painted by my grandmother, and it's something that I inherited. It was one of my favorite things. She painted for quite a while. She painted. One of the things that she always wanted to do was learn how to paint. And in her later years of life, she actually took painting classes and painted quite a few pictures, and I was able to get one of those. And it's one of my treasures. I just love that painting. It was my favorite of the ones that she did paint. So yeah. So let's get started. Just kind of as a background, the last time that I made a video, I had a focus piece that I was working on, and I have finished that piece, so I have a finish to share with you. And then I was also talking about possibly changing things up when I went to my next focus piece. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that after I show you all of my projects. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my finish. We'll start with my finish. And if you remember, what I was working on towards a finish was Time and Season Sampler, which is a design by Moira Blackburn. And it is, I don't have a picture of it because I'm going to show you the real thing. I stitched this on, well, I'll just show you what it looks like. And my clothespin just fell apart. So just a minute. Okay. Okay, so this is my finished piece. And yeah, so this is Time and Season Sampler by Moira Blackburn. I chose to stitch it on 40 count Mallow, which is an even weave. It's not linen, but it's an even weave. And I stitched with the called for DMC 1 strand over 2. And as you can see, I finished it, and I am really happy with what I was able to accomplish. You can see I'm happy with how it turned out. This is a really special piece, I think. I'll give you a little bit closer look at it, just so you can get a feel for it. The grape border, I really like the grape border. That really turned out nice. So yeah, it's been a while since I've worked on it because I finished it, but yeah, I'm really happy with it. And looking forward to I have another couple Moira Blackburn designs that I would love to stitch, so I don't know that they will be stitched right away, but I do have a couple of other of her samplers that I really love. So yeah, this is Time and Season Sampler by Moira Blackburn. So this is finish number 2 for 2022, which beats my record for last year. Last year I only had 1 finish, so that's good. And I'm hoping to have more. We'll see how that goes. But, so yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'm really happy with how that turned out. So we'll talk about what my focus piece is now. I've chosen another focus piece, but after I finished Time and Season Sampler, I had one more design in my rotation, so I decided that I was going to finish out my rotation. And that last design was this. This is Louise Lallier, 1901, it's a reproduction by Reflets de Soie. And I really love this sampler, and I've really enjoyed working on it. So it was a real pleasure to pick this up and start working on it. So I'll show you what it looks like now. I'm stitching this on 40 count Verdal Evenweave, which is another even weave by Zweigart. And I'm stitching with DMC. I'm using the DMC conversion that comes with the pattern. I'm not using the silks that it calls for. And I don't know. I don't see, well, of course I haven't seen the silk. It's stitched in silk, so I don't know, but I'm really happy with the way the colors look, and I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So this is what I was able to do. I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. I'm getting out of practice because it's been so long. But yeah, so this is what it looked like the last time you saw it, and this is what it looks like now. So basically I think I stitched a couple more flowers and a couple more letters. And that is pretty time consuming. It takes 2 or 3 days to stitch one of these flowers in the border. And that includes, well, I'm talking about these flowers. There's also flowers down here too, but I count these flowers as the flowers. So it takes me 2 or 3 days to stitch one of these sections in the border. And of course the letters go pretty quickly. I am more than halfway across the border, which is good. I've enjoyed stitching this. This is, I thought that I would really get bogged down and bored with the border, but that hasn't been the case. Nevertheless, I am glad to see that I'm more than halfway across. I want to finish the top border, and then I think things are going to go a little bit faster as I move down, because then I'll be stitching a little section on it down and filling in the middle as I go. So, but yeah, I'm really happy with this. I was really seriously considering making this my focus piece. But I have other projects that are a lot older than this, and so I kind of decided that this can wait in the wings a little bit until it becomes my focus piece. But I'll show you what it looks like. Yeah, the colors in this are really, really great. Okay, so this is Louise Lallier, 1901. Okay. So now what I have done is I've decided that I am going to cut down my rotation a little bit to work more towards finishes. I'm trying to get my whip count down, and I decided it would be better to concentrate on 4 or 5 pieces and work towards finishes on those pieces rather than work on everything, because I'll never finish anything if I do that. So I'm going to show you some of the pieces that I have been working on, and that I think these are like my cut down rotation. I'm kind of building it as I go. So I'll show you what I've got so far. And then I'll show you my focus piece. My plan, what I've been doing is I've been stitching on my focus piece every other week, and then working through my other pieces that I want in my reduced rotation. So one of those pieces that have made the cut is this. This is the Red House Sampler by Brenda Keys of the Sampler Company. And I chose to work on this because it is getting close to being finished. And I think it's not going to be a quick, not like next week, but this one will be definitely finished sooner rather than later. So this is in my reduced rotation. Okay, I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. I'm stitching this on 40 count Parchment by Weeks Dye Works with the Zweigart base with the called for DMC, and that includes the red that is called for in the house, which is 321. It's a really bright red, but once you surround it with the brown on the outside, it kind of tones things down. It's really an interesting effect to me. So this is what it looks like now. And I was really excited to get to the house, so I've been working on the house rather than bringing the border across, because I've been looking forward to actually stitching the subject of the sampler, right? And I finished the first story. There's 3 more stories to go. It took me a week to stitch this story, so I think I've got 3 more weeks at least for the house itself, and then maybe another couple of weeks to fill in the rest of the sampler. So yeah, this has all gone fast. This is not going quite as fast just because the stitching is more dense. But yeah, I'm really happy with this, and this house is everything that I hoped it would be, so I'm looking forward to seeing more of it as I go. The other thing, I also stitched the man and all of this grass over here to get to the house. So yeah, there it is, Red House Sampler by Moira Blackburn. Okay, another piece that has made the cut for my reduced rotation is, well, of course, you know the rule. The rule is that you always have to have a Teresa Wentzler running. So, of course, I chose my Teresa Wentzler, which is English Cottage Sampler. And so this is also my reduced in my reduced rotation. And yeah, so I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. I'm stitching this on 32 count Flax Linen. It's Flax Belfast Linen with the called for DMC. I don't know how you'd substitute anything for a Teresa Wentzler just because of all of the blends that she uses. How would you ever change those? And I'm really happy with my progress with this. I keep getting bit. I'll show you. First, we'll talk about that. So this is how much I was able to finish. So I filled in this border section over here, and then I was really excited about stitching this swan scene right here. So I did everything I could to start stitching a swan. That meant bringing this border up, starting working on, there's this border that goes around the swan scene. So I got started working on that, and then I actually got to stitch a swan. It's about 1/3 of a swan, I think. So the next time that I work on this, we'll finish the swan for sure. I keep getting bit by the fact that I keep assuming that everything is the same all the way across the design. And then I realize that in the middle, things change in the middle. It goes mirror image, and she changes colors. Like I stitched this gold line all the way across, and then got looking and realized that it wasn't gold in the middle. So I had to take out these stitches here. Luckily, I didn't have to stitch all the way back. I took out the stitches in the middle. But yeah, so I have to always remind myself that I can't just assume with this piece. But we've got this white lattice finished here, and of course the swan is looking really good. And with Teresa Wentzler, you're always surprised at the colors that she uses, but they always look great. Like there's purples and blues in this one, blended with other colors. But you say, really? A purple with the swan? But it looks great. And it'll look even better when the swan is finished. So that's English Cottage Sampler. Look at all those leaves. I think once I finish this, when I get up into the alphabet, things are going to go a lot faster. I don't know how long it'll take for me to get up there, though. But this is a design that I want to finish sooner rather than later, so I'm gonna, this is in my reduced rotation. Okay. So there's that. And then we'll talk about my focus piece, and then I have a start to show you as well. The piece that I chose for my focus piece is my oldest whip. That just kind of seems to make the most sense to me. It's been going for a long time. It needs to be finished. And for me right now, that is this. This is Queen Anne's Lace by Lavender and Lace. And of course, it's a picture of a lady in a blue and yellow gown surrounded by kind of a woodland scene, I guess. And I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. I am stitching this with, excuse me, 32 count Dirty Belfast Linen with the called for colors. Yeah, and this has been really fun. I'm kind of in a transition zone with my diagonals. Things are starting to change, and it's kind of exciting. I'll show you what I mean. So this is what it looks like now. Yeah, okay. This is what she looks like. So I don't know. I think about 3 weeks I've worked on this since I started it as my focus piece. So that's about almost 3 diagonals. So you can see, here's what I mean by a transition. I've hit here, this is the sash that she has, her sash. There's the bottom of her sash. So I'm getting really close to her waist and to the bodice. The bouquet that she's holding has really started to appear. So that looks really cool. And then this blue here has started to come up this way. So it's kind of, I think I mentioned earlier, yellow isn't one of my favorite colors to work with. And look at all this yellow. But my yellow is, there's less yellow to stitch now. The blue is kind of taking over the yellow. And that feels really good to me, to not have to go through blocks and blocks of only yellow. And I'm really impressed with how this is only a couple of diagonals, and it's really starting to take shape. My picture, I just love to look at that and see how it's really turning out and how it's really starting to take shape. So yeah, there's 1 stitch of her hand inside this bouquet. So the next time I come down with a diagonal, we'll start to see her hand and her other arm. So that's what I mean by it's in transition. I'm getting out of the dress, out of her skirt, up into her bodice. And if you can see, this is probably not quite so obvious, but there's 1 stitch in over here. That's because I'm getting to the part where this is going to start to circle around. It's not square, it's curved. The background is curved. So I'm starting to hit the curve on the background too. There's still a long ways to go. I'm only just barely under 50% complete. So yeah, so there's still a ways to go, but she's really looking great, don't you think? So this is my focus piece. I'm looking forward to more of her as she continues to appear. Okay. So that is Lavender and Lace, Queen Anne's Lace. Okay, so I told myself when I decided I was going to try to pull my whip count down that I would allow myself to start something after I had 2 finishes. And so I also have a start to share with you. I haven't decided whether or not this is in my reduced rotation or not. I'm kind of tempted to because it's relatively small and should be finished relatively quickly, I think. But I haven't, I don't know, I haven't decided. But the start that I decided to do is this. This is Die Freitag 1849. This is a reproduction from the Heart, Needleart. And I saw this stitched up in the attic and really wanted to stitch it. So Jean helped me out with that. I am stitching it on 32 count, or maybe 36. Yeah, it's 36. 36 count Cocoa from Weeks. It was Weeks with the Zweigart base. And I'm stitching with the called for Gloriana silk. And I've had a pretty good start. You can see it's kind of, right now, it's not showing up very well up against this darker fabric, but I think once I get more of it stitched, it will start to look a little bit better. So I stitched the first alphabet along the top, and there's this border that goes along here, and then there's this other band of leaves, I guess. And then I started working on the next alphabet. There are like 3 or 4 alphabets through here, and then there's a big garland of roses with kind of bouquets on either side. So yeah, I'm really happy with this. It was kind of fun to stitch. I've stitched with Gloriana a little bit before, but I really enjoyed working with it on this piece. So we'll see how this goes in the future. It might come out in my reduced rotation. It's a sampler, it's small, so maybe if it doesn't, then it'll be in my, it will come in eventually, right? Okay, so let's talk plans. I will show you my Kanban chart showing my projects. You can see over in my whip column, I have added my focus piece is now Queen Anne's Lace, and I have 2 projects as part of my reduced rotation. Of course, that is the Red House sampler and English Cottage sampler. I am planning on about 4 or 5 pieces in my reduced rotation plus my focus piece is kind of what I'm thinking right now. So I just barely finished a week with Queen Anne's Lace. This has been a pretty busy week, so she didn't get as much attention as she usually does. But I'm going to pull out another piece to be in my reduced rotation. I haven't decided what that piece is yet. I have lots of candidates. Louise Lallier is a candidate. I think Sunshine and Shadows is a candidate. I'm not very far along on that, but that is a piece that needs to be concentrated on if I'm ever going to finish it because it's so large. You know, it's a large full coverage piece, and I'm kind of thinking that needs to be in my reduced rotation. And then, I don't know. I'm still kind of debating, but I think, yeah, I'm not going to put a stake in the ground necessarily, but I think it's going to be Sunshine and Shadows this week. That's what I'm leaning towards, to bring that into my rotation. And then, of course, we'll do Queen Anne's Lace again, and then I don't know. I'll have to. I haven't decided specifically what other pieces are going to be in my reduced rotation. I do have pieces that I definitely am going to leave out. They can wait. We'll see. Anyway, at any rate, that is all that I have to share with you today. Thank you for spending time with me today. As always, feel free to like this video if you've enjoyed watching it. And if you haven't, feel free to subscribe to my channel. That way you can be notified when I post new videos. And I should be able to do them a little bit more frequently. Things have died down a little bit with with the project that I'm working on. And I'm hoping to be able to share that with you in the near future. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I enjoy hearing from you, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have for me. Oh, that reminds me, one other thing. I have had a lot of interest in my spreadsheet recently. It seems to have kicked up a little bit. And Danny, one of my viewers, actually found a bug in the spreadsheet that I had released. And it is a bug that I'd forgotten that I had. I haven't been using that version of the spreadsheet for a while. And so, and I actually fixed it in the newer version of the spreadsheet. So I gave her that spreadsheet to kind of test out. She's been really happy with it. She likes how it's organized. So I am going to put a link to that spreadsheet in the comments below. If you've been using my spreadsheets, you may want to use this updated version. It's organized a little bit differently, but you should be able to copy and paste the data from the spreadsheet that you are using into this spreadsheet pretty seamlessly. Just as a heads up, there's a projects page where you have all of your projects, and then you put in X's in columns to indicate whether or not you have the chart, you have supplies, you have started the piece, you have paused the piece, or you have finished the piece. And based on how you put X's in those columns in the projects tab, there are a whole bunch of other tabs that get populated. Like there's a wish list tab, WIPs tag, a finishes tab. There's like different tabs that get populated based on how you fill in those columns, and it just feels a lot more intuitive as to how it works. So feel free to download it if you are interested in using it. If you have any questions about how things work, feel free to ask me. Everything should be populated correctly, and so you should be able to, it should be pretty seamless if you've been using my spreadsheet before. So check out that as well. I'll post an updated link to it down below. So anyway, once again, thanks for watching, and I hope that you have a great couple of weeks, a month, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.